The Evermore podcast is now sponsored by WFST Total Compliance. WFST provides fire safety requirements UK-wide to prepare you and your employees should the worst happen. Do what you do best and visit wfst.co.uk today. Enjoy the episode. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Evermore YouTube channel. It's Monday night. Me and Mark are back asking the same question we ask every single Monday night. What's going on? And what's going on with you, everybody? Unless you're standing in the middle of Newcastle, creaking your neck, looking up at some drones, you're obviously sitting watching us, hopefully. So what's going on with you, Mark? How are we doing?
I'm good, man. I'm really good. It's been a good weekend again. So yeah, it's been I'm looking forward now to the return of Champions League football on Wednesday night to St James's.
Absolutely. Paris Saint-Germain are in town. The bus passed my mate in the car earlier on, which he sent me a picture of, which was, there you go, as he was on the motorway, which was very, very good. So very luxury coach, as he said. He didn't see Kylian Mbappe, looking to see what the temperature was outside of his window. So he probably couldn't see that because it was all blacked out, I'd imagine. But yes, the PSG boys are in town. We'll get stuck right into this in a minute. We've got a full preview coming tomorrow morning, so make sure you check that out. But we are live tonight, as always, for you wonderful people who have joined us live, who aren't watching the drone show. We've got Ian in the house. Good to see you. Kev is there as well. Cushy is saying, even on Light TV said the light show will not be on Wednesday for safety reasons. Yeah, we'll get stuck into that in a minute, Cushy. I have some opinions on that, which I may or may not share about this whole light show scenario. Les is in the house as well. Good to see you too, Les. Right, and as we mentioned just before we get stuck in, as we always do, if you are checking us out for the first time, hello and good to see you. Why not subscribe? Hang around a little bit longer. We're over 5,300 subs. Loads of room for Evermore. We've got the live show that you're watching right now every Monday at 10 p.m. I've got pop-up previews, post-match reviews, the odd rant from me. Something pisses me off, which today I'm in a particularly grumpy mood, so you never know. There might be a rant coming very soon. So something might piss me off very soon, I'm sure. And there are plenty of those kicking around. So yeah, why not do it? If you fancy being a member, you can always click on that as well and get early access to videos amongst some other goodies as well. So let's get stuck in there, Mark. Obviously, another win at the weekend. A fantastic goal from Miggy Almiron, which hopefully is the start of the Miggy Almiron monthly worldly competition that he had last season, where he was trying to outdo himself every single game. But the defence caught your eye, mate, at the weekend as well, because the stats improved even without the glorious bastard that is the Botman.
Well, they didn't miss him, did they? I thought, first 5 minutes or so, it looked shaky. I think that the pace down the right hand side for Burnley and really kind of putting pressure on Burn, but I think Newcastle coped with it eventually. And look, I thought Lascelles put in a good shift. Newcastle were rarely troubled, and they played very well. They did a very professional job, and it's the fifth clean sheet in a row, and this is now a return, I think, to the Newcastle of last season that were defensively solid, good going forward, creating chances, scoring goals. Yes, that second goal at the weekend took a little bit longer, I think, than most would have liked. There was a little bit of nerves. I think I texted you and said, this has got a smash and grab on it written all over it at one point, because I just thought the more Newcastle missed opportunities and Burnley had nothing, I thought they might just sneak something out of it, but they rarely got into an area to threaten. That second goal really killed the game off. But I thought huge shout to the defence, because I thought again they were excellent. They nullified whatever threat was there, and without the big man, because we've seen too often that Botman has been the real linchpin of that defence and keeps everybody's head in check. And the worry was he's not there, so you may struggle, but there was no sign of that this week.
Yeah, but not to be negative. And I've already warned everybody I'm grumpy, right? But not to be negative, right? But all this talk about Jamaal Lascelles being the next fucking Bobby Moore, right? Let's just calm the fuck down a minute here, right? We played against Man
Who
City
the hell
second
has said
string.
that?
Yeah, we played against Man City second string and Burnley, who don't have a centre forward, right? So if anybody thinks Jamaal Lascelles is going to come in on Wednesday night and man mark Mbappe out of the game, get a fucking grip of that, because that ain't not going to happen, right? I've got my team coming up in the preview tomorrow. Ian's comment has caught my eye there. What's he saying there? Lascelles, the centre back. Jesus Christ. See, the thing about Lascelles is, listen, he has improved as a player. I said that in the post match. He's definitely improved under Eddie Howe. He looks better on the ball. He looks calmer, right? But he's still Jamaal Lascelles, right? Let's just calm the fuck down here, okay? We signed Sven Botman for a reason, right? And Sven Botman is probably one of the best young centre backs in the world. And we need him against PSG, and we ain't got him, so it's going to be more difficult, right? I just want to get that out there, mate, because all this talk about Lascelles, I'm all for backing the lads and all that shit, right? But some of the bollocks I've read about Jamaal Lascelles on Twitter is really fucking annoyed me, because he's not that good. He's not that good. Like, Haaland was on the bench against City, right? If Haaland had come on, he would have fucking turned him inside out like a sleeping bag on a camping trip. He would have fucking annihilated him easily.
You say that, but he did a decent job against him last season. And I once watched Titus Bramble mark Alessandro Del Piero out of a game. Yeah, so weird
Del
things
Piero
do
done
happen.
3 lines before that game in the toilet before he come out, mate. That's what he done then. Or was it Titus Bramble done 3 lines? Somebody done 3 lines. But listen, mate, I just, this whole Lascelles stuff, listen, I know back the lads and all that stuff, right? But some of the mental shit that goes on because they have one decent game is just fucking nuts. It really is. Just everyone needs to just chill out. Let's see if Jamaal Lascelles comes in on Wednesday night. Let's just see how well he does. Let's see how people are talking about him as being the best centre back in the world after that game. Hopefully I'm wrong, but let's just wait and see what happens there. So what's that saying? Not condone a drug take. Absolutely, Jules. Absolutely. Unless it means you can mark Del Piero out of the game, then sniff away, mate. Sniff away. I'm only joking.
That's us getting taken off there.
That's us getting taken down. Sorry, YouTube. I'm only kidding. But no, I mean the game itself. Listen, there was bits of the game that were really good. We never really looked troubled by Burnley. Burnley huffed and puffed, but they couldn't blow the house down. They weren't great. They were naive at the back, as we all said they were in the preview as well. There was some seriously worrying bits about Dan Burn getting absolutely annihilated for pace by Burnley fullbacks, and more on that in a minute, as he happens to be playing against arguably the fastest player on the planet on Wednesday. So let's not worry too much about that, eh? But there was parts of that game that we were, I don't say we were crap, we weren't crap, but we were just kind of going through the motions, I felt, Mark, to be honest with you. And we knew Burnley were never really going to threaten us. And then we kicked it up when we needed to kick it up. We had a lot of chances. We could have won that game 3 or 4-0, I think, if we'd been a bit more clinical. Isak, that chance, he's got to bury that. The one he fluffs when he's kind of through on goal, and then he just gets his feet all tangled up. He's got to put that away. There was a couple of other chances too. I think Anderson could arguably go with his foot instead of his head. That save with the keeper was a great save, but moments like
save,
that,
to be fair,
it was. But if he went with his foot and smashed it in the back of the net because he had time, I don't think the keeper gets it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Maybe, but it is. I think the height that it is, it's difficult to try and then take some time with it. I think he did the best. He took the best option of it, and it hits Trafford's foot or leg and hits his hand, and it's a good save. The keeper's put himself in the right place. I'm not sure.
Typical goalkeeper. What are you like? Absolutely. You're always sticking up for the bloody goalkeepers. Great comment for Jules. If the cat isn't filming or featuring on the drone show, I'm out. Sadly, the cat didn't make the grade, Jules. Sadly,
I didn't get a phone call. I'm really disappointed in that. That would have been a good one.
I'm not really sure what the pre-qualification was. There we go. This is speaking of the devil. It was like some kind of a comic book villain there, just kind of shot past like a shadow there. Wasn't it really the dark shadow? But I'm not sure what the pre-criteria was to get on the drone list. I really don't know. We'll talk about that in a minute, I'm sure. Yeah, like I said, I've got my opinions on that, as you can tell.
Some of the fake ones, I have to say, some of the ones that have been mocked up online are tremendous.
Superb. They were top draw. They were actually better than the real drones, in my opinion. They should just let them do the real ones, I think, to be fair. But Kev thinks Isak needs to be more clinical. I think Isak's got a knock, mate. What do you think? He doesn't look sharp enough to me.
it's funny, isn't it? Because I mean, against Milan, he looked leggy, he looked slow, he didn't look quite himself, and then he looked almost back to his best again in midweek, and then again, yeah, it's odd. I don't know whether it's a. It seems odd to say it's confidence for him, but it almost desperately needs one of those to go in just to get a couple more in one game and just have that run again. But maybe he is just carrying a slight niggle. And I know Wilson was, and we'll come on to injuries and stuff. I know Wilson was obviously he was a concern for the weekend. They kept him out with the idea being they will be back for midweek, I think. So there's not really, there isn't another option, and that other than playing, Joe Linton through the middle, who's just come back from injury. We'll come to that.
Yeah.
So I think he's almost played out of absolute necessity, and he does look like he's just not quite at his sharpest, but that'll come back. I think it's whatever it is. It can't be too bad an issue, because you wouldn't, if it was, you're not going to risk him. But he just needs that little bit of sharpness back again, and we'll see it. And I think he snatched it a few the past few weeks. Certainly the couple against Brighton early doors, he really snatched at those chances when he really should be burying them. But he's such a good player that will come back. I think it is a little bit of legginess, maybe a little bit of a knock, just a lack of sharpness, and as soon as that's back, the goals will come.
Yeah, I'm just laughing at this comment from Sai. She's saying Mbappe will be playing against Trippier, not Lascelles, as he plays the left. He's not a centre forward. He's doing a good job of pretending to be one then side, because I think he scored about 200 fucking goals in his career or something. He's only 23, so I'd hate to see what a real centre forward looks like.
I've seen him flip to the right hand side recently as well, and I don't know whether that's a little bit of an indication of what they might try and do on Wednesday and target Burn, because of the fullbacks. I know which one I'd want to come up against if I've got a little bit of pace, and it ain't Kieran Trippier. And you wonder whether, I mean, Mbappe's MO is to come in from the left hand side. We've seen it time and time again for the last few years. But I just wonder whether with Clermont playing through the middle, they'll move Mbappe the opposite, or rotate him left and right, and have a go.
If Dan Burn plays left back, Mbappe will be all over the right hand side. He will. He'll be all over the right hand side, because Mbappe's dad could beat Burn for pace, let alone fucking Mbappe. So Mbappe will be straight over that left hand side if Burns played left back, 100%.
I do think we'll see him across there for a good chunk of the game. I don't know whether they might do almost a little bit of what Burnley did to start with, and just target that left hand side of Newcastle defence to start with, and without Botman there as well. That is a huge area of concern, because that even with Burn up against Mbappe, you've got the reassurance that Botman's there too, and having to move Shah across to the left hand side, and it's not the same. And I do worry if they do shift them around, even if it's just for 10-15 minutes at a time, that's going to be a huge concern, because Mbappe will absolutely tear him to shreds for pace, certainly.
Listen, I'm laughing at Ian's comment. I wonder if Burn sticks his big toe up Mbappe's arse if he would reach the Red Hoof Bridge. I don't think Burn would even be fucking close to put his toe up his arse, and even if you gave Burn a moped, he wouldn't catch Mbappe. He's that fucking slow. I'm sorry.
We need a good
Kev,
I was going to say, we need a good old Andy Griffin tackle first couple of minutes of the game, don't we?
Mate, I'm sorry. Kev's saying I'm cynical, and I'm not being cynical, Kev. I'm just being fucking realistic. You're talking about Dan Burn, Mark, and Kylian Mbappe here. I'm not buying this fucking fairy tale bollocks that he's going to kick him off out the pitches in James's Park. He won't get near him. He won't get fucking near him. I guarantee you. I'm sorry, but it's true. If he plays left back and Mbappe goes over there, he'll tear him to pieces, and then we'll end up having to sacrifice 2 or 3 players to cover Burns' arse, where he's getting absolutely murdered by the best striker in the world, probably next to Haaland. So sorry if that sounds cynical, guys, but That's just the truth, you know. We'll wait and see what happens on Wednesday, but I don't think we'll get anywhere near Mbappe, to be honest with you. I just think sadly that's going to be the case. Mad Mag is saying, would I be comfortable? I'd rather have Livramento starting at fullback. I think he's got the pace to keep up with him. I think we saw that against City, Mark, didn't we? He put some really good tackles in. I think Livramento, and don't get me wrong, listen, it's a big ask to ask Livramento to mark a player like Mbappe in your Champions League debut, but stranger things have happened. But I would be much more confident with a player with a bit of speed back there. And please, nobody in the comments wheel out the fucking Paul Dummett card. I mean, Jesus H. Christ, please no. Please no. You know, he can't mark fucking Mbappe either. He couldn't even mark Mbappe on FIFA, Paul Dummett. You know what I mean? Like, just don't even start with that nonsense. But I'd much rather have Livramento on the pitch. Yes, Mad Mag. I really would. So what we've got here, James is saying, if we get Mbappe in January, perfect. Nice 70 million sub for Gordon when the lad time.
Why not?
To be positive though, listen, I know I'm fucking grouchy, right, and I'm having pneumonia, but to be positive,
I hadn't noticed. Honestly,
yeah.
None of us have noticed so far.
No. But to be positive, though, Gordon will give PSG problems. He will give PSG problems because he is relentless in pace and aggression, and they will not come up against a player like that week in, week out in Ligue 1, and he will cause them loads of problems. So as much as Mbappe will cause us problems, I do think Gordon will cause them problems too at the other end. There you go. That's me being positive. So I'll stop being negative for 5 minutes. But you can tell I've had a bad day. I've been one of them moods. Nicholas is saying Isak scored against City and Sheffield United, 3 goals in 3 matches. Get there against PSG, Isak. Okay, mate. Yeah, I mean, he's on a good scoring run. There's no doubt about that. But you know, he does look like he's carrying something. Is what we're saying.
Well, that's it. Yeah, he scored a couple. Granted, you know, one's a penalty. One was against Sheffield United, who were just giving up at that point. I get the point. I do. I just think we'll see him much more clinical. You look, he could have had 2 against Brighton. He probably should have had another one at least at the weekend. Though I think that time will come. If he is lucky, he just looks a yard short, and I think that's it. It's just a yard short. There's that. He's having to. Because he's almost a yard short, he's then having to kind of snatch at the chances rather than be a little bit more composed. So I might be wrong, but that's just from watching him. That just felt like the thing. So if it is just a slight niggle, maybe. But yeah, I mean, three goals and 3 games. Can't really argue that.
No, you can't do. But I mean, Paul's made a good point there. Gordon will have to do a lot of covering, obviously, if Mbappe switches. Sorry, Kev, I love Lewis Hall, but he looks way off the pace, mate. Way off the pace. I wouldn't put Lewis Hall anywhere near this team against Paris Saint-Germain. I just think he looks way off the pace. He's a cracking player, and I think he's going to be a really good player for us. I don't like playing in midfield. I don't think that works. If that's a reason that he's signed, I really hope it's not, because he looks better as a left wing back, in my opinion. And I really hope we turn him into that player, Mark. But Lewis Hall just doesn't look like he's up to scratch, mate. Does he really fitness-wise, I think? And I think a couple of games I've seen him in. Nope, I lost you.
Yeah, sorry. My sound has gone. My sound went there. Sorry, I missed the last part of that.
No,
mate.
I was just saying Lewis Hall doesn't look up to scratch. Kev saying play Lewis Hall left back. He doesn't look fit enough to me.
It's frustrating because when he didn't look quite up to speed. You're right. I think match sharpness is a thing there too, and I think we'll start to see that if he gets more and more game time, we get that match sharpness out of him. I think it would be a huge risk without many minutes in his in his part of this season so far. It'd be a huge risk to throw him into this when he's still learning to play with this team the way that Eddie Howe wants him to play. That would, if it has to, it has to. But you don't want to throw a player like that in just to fill a spot, or just for pace. Livramento will be one. Yes, I could argue for that.
I think that's a good shout. That's a good shout.
He's played a few more minutes. He definitely looks more up to speed with what's going on.
And he marked Grealish really well, and Grealish is a Champions League player. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
He did well against Grealish.
Not the same, obviously, if he's up against Mbappe. Mbappe's rapid.
It's
Grealish, is much more quick thinking, I think, in that regard, rather than pure pace. Although he's no slouch, but certainly of the two new fullbacks, he's definitely the one that's more up to speed.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had another comment there coming in. I just moved past the screen there for some reason. What we're doing here? So Ty was saying Mbappe plays on the right as much as the left. I mean, we might as well move on to PSG, Mark, because we're already talking about it anyway, really. So we've just kind of naturally slipped into the PSG mode, really. Are you clicking the buttons while I'm clicking the buttons here?
Not.
All right.
Not touching anything. It's not me.
I don't know what's going on there. The buttons, they seem to be going off.
We're all breaking tonight.
God knows why. Johnny Jackson, has anybody got Andy Griffin's number? That's a great shout. Yeah, he would certainly put a boot through Mbappe, I'm pretty sure. But we don't really have players like that in the side. And I know Lascelles is quite a big burly centre half, but my worry would be Lascelles would try and half him, be about 5 yards away and get a red card, and then we'd really be in trouble early on. So we've got here a comment from Ian saying, if you tits earlier on another live chat was saying, dumb it, fuck me, supporters need to stay off the glue.
Well, he played well against City. We'll not deny it. He had
City reserves, Mark. City reserves. Get it right. City reserves.
But it's in it. Let's be fair. At this stage of the competition, it's in the Mickey Mouse Trophy. This isn't one that I honestly don't think City were taken overly too seriously, because I'm sure somebody said at some point if they were to get through, they would then have to play their kids anyway, because they'll be playing in the World Club Cup. So I think they were really just letting this one go. So yeah, I think he had a decent game, against the opposition that he
especially he hasn't played for a year, so
exactly.
You've got to give it to him. But it was City reserves.
It was, and most went before the game. Oh my God! But watched and went, all right, fair enough. He's had a good game, but I'm sorry, you put him up against any form of Europe's elite in a competition like this, rather than the second or third round of the EFL Cup. It's a different kettle of fish completely, and he would struggle massively.
Here's a question for you. You just said there you're not sure how serious City took the competition. Who was sitting on the bench for City and they didn't bring him on?
That's it.
Against a couple of defenders who've played very little football for Newcastle United, one who was cramping up towards the end of the game. If Pep wanted to win that game or give a fuck about that game, he would have pulled Haaland off the bench. He would have done to win the game. He didn't do it.
As much as he loves to win everything, and he does have a bit of an affinity with the EFL Cup. I mean, they've won it enough times. I just think even Pep goes, I'm not sure we can fight on all fronts this season, especially with the added games in the Club Cup. That it's just we'll go with what's there. If it's good enough, great. If it's not, fair enough. We walk away and we're not really that bothered. And you're right. 99.9% of the time, you're 1-0 down. You wanting to go through in the competition. You throw Haaland on and go and win us the game.
Exactly. I'm just comment there, seen from George in the comments. Sorry, George, your cat's missing. That's horrible, mate. I hope you find it. I lost my cat a while ago, and it was locked in somebody's shed a couple of doors up, mate. So hopefully, the similar thing to you, mate. So I hope you do. I hope the cat does come home, mate. I'm sorry to hear that. So fingers crossed for you, mate. So as much as Mark Cat causes chaos, if you ever lost it, he'd be very sad, mate. So fingers crossed your little Moggy comes back home. Colin's saying every time he's seen Mbappe play, he's bang average. Hope that continues. So maybe you're his voodoo, Colin. So you just give him the death stare, mate, if you're at the ground, and hopefully you'll be totally shit. You'll go, oh, shit, Colin's here. That's me rubbish tonight. And I hope that is the case, Colin. You should go to every single game that we play against Kylian Mbappe, mate. You might get free tickets for every game in League One, to be brutally honest with you. We've got another comment here coming up. What we've got there? Yes, I was just saying earlier on for me, he's with me. He's not a fan of Dan Burton left back, but we need to take the rose-tinted glasses off and stop saying he's from Blythe. Yeah, I do. Listen, I love Dan Burton. I love his attitude. I love his desire. I love everything about the player. But watch the game back on Saturday, and you're talking about bang average Burnley players leaving him in dust. Like, go watch it again. It's like me trying to chase a Tesla out of the Metro Centre car park. That's what it looks like. Honestly, and him playing against their number 7, I'm sorry, it's scary. It's really scary. I'm sorry.
It is a frightening thought. It is. However, there is a comment further down here from Paul. It says if Clermont's back four can keep, I think it was a back three or back five, but I get the point. Can keep PSG, and PSG. I think they had about.
That's a fair shout, Paul. That's a fair shout, Paul.
I don't know what the stats were, but I think they had something like about 25 shots or something stupid like that. So they had opportunities to win, but didn't take them. Like, if that happens on Wednesday night, brilliant. You'll take that all day long. If they create 20 opportunities and miss them all, fine. No one's going to argue with that.
Yeah, sorry. Ian loves your fucking cat. I know you do, Ian. You love that cat, mate. We'll have to do that for a prize, mate. Where 6K subscribers.
Not the cat.
No, not give the cat away. Just like, you know, we'll bring the cat around to see you for like an hour or something like that, mate, just to cheer you up. So I just seen a comment there that was opening the door for the thing that I didn't really want to talk about, but we might as well talk about it. Here we go. So the mighty win is evening all. Been watching the drones. Shame it will not be done on Wednesday. So Mark, you've got some images of the said drones that have been being displayed that the mighty win has obviously gone to see. So some fantastic pictures, to be fair, some fantastic pictures, you know, of the players' shirts and everything else. Some not so fantastic pictures that I really don't understand why that was there. And I feel other fan bases will rip the piss out of us royally for it. But I won't get too far into that. What's your take on the drones, mate?
It's one of those things that I like the build up. I like the fact that it's making it a big thing. I think there's an element of making this too big, and the expectation then grows too much with it potentially. I do like it. I think they look great. The fact that they can't do it on the night of the game is not a piss take. I know that they've put it obviously for safety reasons and stuff, but it almost ruins it at that point, because then you've got 3 days before the game that's going on and nothing on the night. It seems a little odd with what the rules are around it, but I like it. I like some of them. I'm sort of with you, I think, and there is, and like I say, some of the mock-up ones are absolutely genius that they've been knocking around social media. But it's they look great.
Well, I've lost your sound now, mate. No, you're having some sound difficulties as well. Just while Mark's rearranging his sound, I thought they looked great if you could have done them on the night of the match. The fact that you can't do them on the night of the match, I think they're a little bit pointless, if I'm honest. It's nice to have it in the sky and engage with the fan base and everything, but I would have much rather in the lead up to the game that they would have had I don't know, images or posters or murals about, you know, Champions League days gone by, you know, she was scoring against Leverkusen or whatever it may be. I'd rather have done that than this thing. When this was announced, I thought, oh, that's going to look spectacular before the game. And then they said, oh, you can't do it before the game. So I don't really see the point of having it 2 days beforehand. And some of the stuff in there, I'm not going to name it, but it's a bit tin pot for me, and I don't agree with it. I think it's a bit stupid. I think people will take the piss out of it. Now, I know I'll be in the minority there, and there'll be people moaning and, you know, saying, "Oh, you're being negative, you're grumpy," and that's true. I'm grumpy. I'm really grumpy today. But I still don't think that if you cannot do it before the game, then I don't really see the point. I really don't. You know, where does that sit in the financial fair play fucking books? How much did they spend on them drones? You get a number 6 for that, couldn't you? Or a backup centre forward?
Well, this has been... I'm back, by the way. There we go.
Yeah, you sound back.
This has all been done by Seller, hasn't it? This is all a bit of a marketing kick for them. It's very much, I think, a corporate kind of...
Yeah.
Look what we can do, sort of thing. I don't know. Like I say, they look great. I just think that there's an awful lot of hype now, and just put in there, but sponsors paid for that, so not an RFP. Yeah, I think that was a bit of a throw comment, but it just for me it just feels like too much of a let's hype the game up as absolutely much as possible. And then the worry is that then Wednesday comes and it's an absolute letdown. And we hope it's not. but it just I don't know. For me, it just there's an element that worries that it's too much. That it's too much.
Yeah. Again, it does segregate the fan base a bit, as Ronald said. He couldn't give a fuck about the drones. A lot of shite to his age range and pointless. It is very much a new thing, I think. To be honest. Sorry. Yeah, good comment there, Matt. Yeah, no live animals are given away on this channel as a prize. Yeah, well said, Mad. Yeah, we'll have to get you in as a mod, I think, mate, to stop us getting in trouble for these throwaway comments. But yeah, the thing about the drones for me is just I just, like I say, is it too much, as you say? Is it too much? They look great and everything, like I say, but if you kind of do it before the game, it's not really something that I just felt that you really needed to do. Like, I would have loved the nostalgia around the city in the lead up to the game. Like I say, old Champions League games. The Barcelona hat trick pictures of Tino up or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, get the club kind of vibed up like that. I would have much preferred that than seeing the drones up in the sky and that. And a couple of days before the before the game. Yeah, sorry, Matty, when I am grumpy. Mark isn't grumpy here. It's me that's grumpy. I've had a shit day, and obviously I'm just it's kind of trickled over, mate. Sadly, so I'm in a bit of a grumpy mood. But I'm just not a fan of it, mate. I just, like I say, most of it looked really good. If you could have done it for the game, I thought it would have been awesome. But I just don't really see the point. Do you know what I mean? In doing it before the game, really, mate. I just don't see the point.
Fair enough. It's all about opinions.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly. As James says it's a corporate event at the end of the day. It's good we have top sponsors these days. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I mean, what would a Wonga have done? They might have just had like a bunch of like midgets running around the town, probably with Champions League shirts on or something like that. Mike Ashley would have organised that or something, I'd imagine, because they were a rancid company, weren't they? So yeah, it's a very valid point. George is saying, I don't mind it, to be honest. They could put up the score over the town. That's quite a good idea, actually, to be fair. That is a really good idea. If you think about it that way. But you're not allowed to fly them, are you? Is what they're saying. You're not allowed to, you're not allowed to launch them.
They're not allowed within certain distance of the ground, are they, for weather and all that kind of stuff, that they get blown across or whatever. But it's just, I thought they looked great. I'm with you a little bit, Chris. I don't see the point in doing it so early, and if you can't do it,
sorry, Jules. Little people. Sorry, Jules. Yes, that's another one I'm getting told off for.
Vertically challenged, is it?
Let's just gloss over. Let's stop droning on, as DeCoin says. Stop droning on about the drones. I mean, looking at the game, obviously we're going to get stuck into the preview tomorrow properly, mate. And I'm not as whingy in the preview. I promise everybody. I've been a bit more pragmatic in the preview, but the game itself is going to be a tough game. I don't think there's any mistake about that, Mark. It's a real good test for these players, and I do wish that we went into this game with Joe Litton, Joe Willock, Botman. I wish we'd gone in with those players. Callum Wilson fit as well. I just wish that we'd.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at these coming in. Well done, brilliant.
Oh my god, terrible. But yeah, I just think it's a shame we're not going in full strength, isn't it? I think is the thing. I'd love to have got in full strength, but it's a great test for the lads. If the lads can get the win or get the result, missing those 3 or 4 really key players, then that is testament to how well these lads are playing, isn't it? Really, in a game that big.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a huge testament then if things do go well, to the management, to the way that Eddie Howe's coaching them and managing them and getting them to play on the biggest stage. And because if you haven't got your absolute first string, it is a huge test. So, look, if they come through with flying colours on Wednesday, we'll forget about every bit of conversation and we'll just have to hold hands up and go, yeah, brilliant. But so,
oh my god, we're gonna get in trouble with this one, I tell you. Yeah. Too many. The one last thing about the drones, all I'm getting is Spider-Man flashbacks when I hear the drones. Fire all the drones. That's all I'm getting is like Spider-Man and Mysterio flashbacks to anybody who's watched that. But yeah, so moving on, mate. We've talked a little bit about the injury concerns. Obviously going into this game, we know we're missing a lot of players. I mean, let's start with Joe Litton. Really disappointing to see him get injured at the weekend. He didn't really need to come on either, I don't feel. I thought Anderson was playing brilliant. I thought he had another 10 minutes left in him. Anderson, I think he could have easily seen the game out. And then Joe Linton goes to run for a ball. Looks like he pulls something and he's off again. Is Joe Linton not being honest enough with the management and the coaching staff to say that he isn't fit enough to return? Because this is the second time he's broke down, isn't it? Since he's coming back a bit too quickly. Does Joe have to be a bit more honest here and say, look, I'm not ready. I need another couple of weeks. I know he wants to play every single game, doesn't he? But it's.
I think that the management have always kind of said that they try and get away. Or in most clubs now, try and get away from the fact that players will try and pull the wool over their eyes to try and get in the team a little bit sooner. But sometimes you look at it and go, well, is it? I kind of get the point. 10 minutes, end of a game, bring him on, get some minutes in his legs on his way back in a game that there's not going to be much about it. The game's gone. Burnley aren't going to get back into the game. It gives him almost a perfect opportunity to play at proper pace or just off proper pace in the game. So that makes some sense because you're not going to be able to replicate that in training because you for one sense, but you're not going to be at full tilt in training, no matter how hard you train. But it's just when you're coming up to the big games, do you really risk it? And that seems it doesn't. I mean, in hindsight, it's always 2020, but it just seems like an odd decision to have thrown him in on the back of an injury, and then it all go wrong. To me, it just seems like too much of a risk. But look, I mean, it can happen to anybody, couldn't it? And it's one of those unfortunate things, and we've seen it loads with players when they come back and just pick up something straight away.
Yeah, great comment there from George. The bot cave, the Botmobile, and Commissioner Anthony Gordon. I do like that. Very good use of words. The other big injury issue is Callum Wilson, isn't it? So apparently Callum Wilson, it was a weird one, this injury, wasn't it? He wasn't registered as injured, but he wasn't playing. I mean, there's two ways to look at this. There's one element is it a concern? Is Wilson's injuries creeping back in? Is something broken down? Is it one of those situations again where Callum has a lot of football out? And then we don't have any backups. Last time this happened, we signed Alexander Isak, didn't we? If you remember, January isn't too far away. Is it going to be something where we need to look at a centre forward? And the other side of it is Eddie Howe playing silly buggers here, and Wilson's going to be ready for Wednesday. Which side of that do you sit on with Wilson? Do you think there's an issue that Wilson's injuries are back, or do you think it's a bit of mind games from Eddie?
I think it's a little bit of being cautious and just saying, yes, he's got a little knock. Let's pull him out of the squad. Let's not involve him because I've just said with Joe, you don't need to risk him. You really can't. And Wilson's fragile. We know this. And if he's got something, he is likely to pick up something else. So, it's just, I think, the sensible option for him. If there's any doubt, he just gets sat and you keep him then ready for midweek and next weekend.
Yeah, it is a funny one. I mean, I hope he's not injured again, because obviously the England squad's announced on Thursday. And if he is called up the England squad, it'll be interesting to see if he goes. Because if he goes to the England squad, then he's not injured. If they allow him to go to England, but if he doesn't go to England, then that'll be another example of the fact that he is injured, and maybe there is a deeper lying issue there.
I would hazard a guess that he will get called up but pull out.
But he won't go.
With a slight niggle, and it's nothing. Yeah. I don't think there'll be anything to concern other than he will go. I need to keep myself ready, and if there's any doubt at all, if there's any slight knock, that he will pull out, or he won't be selected. But my guess with that is he will get picked, or he'll get selected, but he'll pull out within a couple of days with just a slight. I'm not quite
slight
right.
Niggle. Give him a chance to get himself right.
I need the fortnight off to be able to just make sure I'm fit enough.
Yeah, Ian has just read my mind here. Isak's got an injury or a knock, and Niggle. Wilson's hamstrings are like cheese strings, and he's 31 now. I do think not signing a striker was an issue in summer. I think we said that when we were doing Rumour Has It. And I still think it's a big issue. This whole, all of a sudden, oh, yeah, well, it's all right. Anthony Gordon can play through the middle. I'd rather Gordon was out wide doing what he's doing and ripping teams to pieces. I do think we missed an opportunity not to sign a centre forward. It didn't have to be an established centre forward. It could have been a young centre forward. I'm not saying this player, but someone like a João Pedro, like Brighton signed, look at how well he's done. Somebody like in that ilk, in that mould. And I just feel like, that was an area that we didn't cover, as well as the right centre back and arguably the number 6, you could say, but certainly a backup centre forward for this exact reason, that Isak and Wilson have both had injury problems, and it looked like they're coming back, and we're going to be so short without a striker. And it is a concern, Mark. Do you think the club will act in January on that? Do you think that'll be something that they'll have to go and look at?
Possibly. I guess if there are a couple of injuries knocking around, it does seem like when you look at the needs of the squad, that and it always comes down to Harvey Barnes. I feel with this, and I think he gets unfairly picked on for it. But when you've dropped 30 plus 40 million on Harvey Barnes, when there are so many players that can play from that left hand side, when you have the gaps in the squad in terms of this level, obviously the likes of Lascelles and Dummett can do a job, but they're not at the
not
top
Champions
level.
League level. They're not Champions League level.
And even the striker option, I guess, somebody like a João Pedro, I think, yes, you're right. That's still going to be 30 million for somebody who then potentially isn't going to play an awful lot. I'd be looking at somebody in the next rung to go back. You're sort of looking at not Ekitike, but that
type of ilk,
player,
type of mould. Yeah, no, I get it.
Has got some first team experience, will require more, but is going to learn a hell of a lot about playing in the system with more time, and then can come in and conceivably then take over from Wilson over the next 18 months. That would have seemed sensible, but I think there's definitely that spine. There's the striker, the defensive midfield, and the centre back. I think were the 3 areas that or the next pressing ones. Definitely.
You needed to cover for. The question there from Would-Be Farmer: should we be rotating a bit more as a hedge against injury? We're a bit thin, homie. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think that the problem is I think the rotation element. Eddie said on numerous occasions, doesn't want to interrupt that rhythm, that flow that the team are finding. It's a fine balance, isn't it, between the two? I mean, he made 10 changes for the cup. Which is totally unheard of in terms of Eddie Howe. He made 10 changes and obviously had to hook a couple of the young boys at half time and brought in his 2 starters and they changed the game. So, I mean, I think that the players who are given the opportunity have got to step up, Mark, haven't they, when they've got the opportunity. I felt a bit sorry for Lewis Miley, because I really rate him and Lewis Hall, that we were just basically passed around the first half and then they got hooked. But almost the minute you brought the 2 starters in, bang, the game ramped up a level, didn't it?
Yeah, I didn't think Miley did anything wrong.
No, he didn't really get a chance to do anything, really, mate.
But that's exactly it. Newcastle played without the ball for the first 45 minutes, and were very much the shadow to Manchester City. And Miley did his job. He did all right, but you want to see him with the ball. And second half, he was was the sacrificial lamb in that regard to get Bruno on to change the game, and it's what happened. So yes, I'd like to see Louis Miley to get more minutes. I think there's an element you need to rotate, but you're absolutely bang on the money. You don't want to lose momentum. You don't want to lose that cohesiveness of the side by suddenly throwing in 3, 4, 5 different players. So it's a difficult balancing act, but there's definitely areas where you can rotate. Certainly, there's still depth in that squad to a point. Yeah, but with losing 3 or 4, that becomes much more difficult.
Big players too, very influential players. Matty Winston, not a great record against French teams over the years going back. I do remember Bastia. I don't remember Bastia 78, but I remember some other teams. I think Metz, I remember getting beat off Metz a couple of times, I think, as well. We weren't particularly great against them. So he says Bordeaux, Troyes, Monaco, Marseille. I remember, exactly. So, we haven't got a great record against them, but, records are there to be broken. Listen, like I said at the start, I know I'm in a grumpy mood, right? But I hope the lads do it on Wednesday. Of course I do. I want the lads to get that win, in that Champions League atmosphere, walking out into that ground with war flags and that ground being the way it is. Drones or no drones, is going to be electric. It's going to be one of the best atmospheres I think anybody's ever been witness to in world football, and to be honest with you, Craig Hope wrote an article about could Newcastle sign Mbappe one day, a little bit, fanciful, but if you're killing Mbappe, you're walking out, and you've said this numerous times, and you see that atmosphere, and you hear that noise, and you look around, and you think, oh, hell, this is a bit all right, isn't it? You never know. You never know. He might turn his head, and you might go, actually, I remember playing this in James's Park, and I thought, wow, that's incredible, that atmosphere. I'd love to play in front of those crowds. You just never know. That's the showcase, isn't it?
It is. It's the kind of thing players remember. When you walk out, the yellow wall at Dortmund is another one like it, where you walk out and you just go, wow. And those things will stick and go, if that ever was to come up as an option, I remember being there. I remember how good they were. I remember how brilliant the fans were at supporting the side. Those things do stick. So, it might be fanciful. It might be something that never happens. But if the option ever came up, a cracking atmosphere on Wednesday, it's not going to be the deciding factor, but that will stick in a player's memory.
Yeah, I tell you what, the player I'd go for in January would be Evan Ferguson. Mate. That's the player I'd go for in January. I'd stick a bidding for that lad. Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, good shout, mighty win. Only 50% likes. So well, lads. Yeah, if you could all like the video, really appreciate it. The more likes we get, the happier I'll become. I'll stop being grumpy. Come on, that's a great challenge for you. So smash as many likes as you can and stop me being grumpy.
If we can get to that 50, we might just get Chris the Cheshire Cat by the end of the day.
Yeah, you might just get me smiling a little bit more. Ty's saying it sounds like you're describing Grand Qual. Mark. I mean, Grand Qual's still got a lot of way to go. I think that loan deal to Hearts was terrible for him, really, wasn't it? It was not a good move, that. But, he's in the Dutch league now, I think. Speaking of players in Dutch league, Minter looks shit on today, by the way. Wow, what a player he looks like. I can't wait to get him back in the black and white shirt.
Yeah, robbed, I think, with a goal at the weekend before he actually scored. He looks a player, doesn't he? He looks banging form.
Wow, pace, goals.
He looks very good. So maybe he could be the one if there are issues to come back. If they've got an option to, they can bring him back in January. Certainly from next season, getting in that squad, he looks like he's going to be a brilliant player.
See you, George. Thanks, mate. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, mate.
So just a comment there from Social John. Sorry, Social Johns. I have seen you banging a few comments in about Anderson from Palace. Apparently they're saying that Palace think we're going to sign Anderson for £70 million. No thanks. £70 million is an absolute fucking rip-off for a centre-half from Palace. No chance.
I mean, he scored a worldie at the weekend.
But he's not worth 70 million fucking quid, man. Do me a favour. 70 million quid.
No, maybe he's not. But does it come down to again? It comes down to the Zaha argument. Is it 70 million because he's worth it to them?
I think just a pause, Mark. I think you need to show people the cat's okay. People are generally getting worried here. Jules is worried where the podcat is. Is the podcat alive?
He's fast asleep again.
Don't disturb him.
He's got the point now where I think he's lost his ragginess, and he just comes and sleeps down by my feet now.
I'm the Raji tonight. The podcast is mellow. It's chilled. It's absolutely chilled tonight. But no, yeah. I think it's always interesting. You can always pick apart transfer activity and lack thereof, and it's a real shame for Harvey Barnes because he did show little elements of what he could do, and then he gets injured.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I'm not trying to be a dick towards Harvey Barnes, but my stance on it. There's a guy who's performing for Spurs that I would have rather had in a black and white shirt. And James Maddison, I think he's absolutely fantastic. I think he's been fucking incredible for Spurs. And every time I see him spin a player or do something, I think that really should be in a black and white shirt. But I don't dislike Harvey Barnes. I think he's a really good player. I just think he's had a really unlucky introduction to life as a Newcastle player, trying to get into that squad, Gordon playing so well, him trying to find his space, and then he gets that injury. Let's just hope he comes back stronger in the new year, because as cheesy as it sounds, it will be like a new sign. If Barnes can come back and hit the ground running and score the goals like he does, would be great. I've heard this before, Ian, that Madders was Eddie's choice and Barnes was Ashworth's choice. I don't know if this is true or not, Mark. I really hope it's not, because I'd be disappointed if I felt Eddie Howe was overruled by anybody in the club if he wanted a player.
Wasn't the story though that it was all down to wages for Maddison?
I heard
Maddison
that.
Would have come had it not been for the fact that Newcastle were unwilling to give him the £170,000 a week. But I mean, he
looks brilliant, man. He looks so good, man.
That ball through at the weekend for the lead up to Son's goal. What a pass!
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Incredible. The weight of the pass, everything was just
perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Reminded me, remember when Kabay used to do that for us every week? It reminded me of that kind of thing. And I just thought, fucking hell, what we could do with a player like James Maddison. Now that's gone, that ship has sailed. I'm not going to whinge too much about James Maddison. I've been trying not to. Now, listen, we're not going to try to overrun tonight. We'll be on until midnight, but this is the next section that we're going to get stuck into. We could be on at midnight with this one. Should VAR be scrapped? We've got some backups for this as well. So it is slightly out of tune, this, in a way. But obviously we saw a horrendous VAR decision at the weekend for Liverpool, which is quite funny in itself. But, thinking about it as a football fan, it was an utterly appalling decision, probably right up there with the Joe Willock incident where he was shoved into the back of the net and then the ball hit off a Palace player, went in, and then the fucking gave offside and they wouldn't go back and check it, which is one of the worst VAR decisions I've ever seen. But that didn't get as much coverage in the press as Liverpool. Big shout out to Alex Hurst from True Faith who tweeted that or posted it. This is called an X now, and he's totally right. Because Liverpool are a media darling, all hell has broke loose, and Liverpool are demanding that the rule book be ripped up and everything else as well. The question is, Mark, should VAR be scrapped? I've got my opinion on it. Over to you first, mate. What's your opinion on it?
In its current form, yeah. I just don't think it's fit for purpose. There are changes to make to get it to work, and the system itself is the technology is not the problem, and we've said this from day one. The technology should be fine. I do think for offsides they have to go with a semi-automated version. I don't understand why the Premier League had dug their heels and gone, no, we're not using it, when European competition uses it, international competition uses it, but apparently it's not good enough for the Premier League. That would just solve 100 issues straight away.
Yeah.
It's the people using it, and the referees are not good enough at using the technology and are not clear enough in what they're doing. The fact that the VAR and assistant VAR at the weekend can both sit there, misinterpret what has gone on the field when everybody can see what's gone on the field, because the pictures clearly showed the linesman's flag in the air.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look at this one you were talking about. This is the Liverpool one, isn't it? I mean, that is fucking as clear as day to me if you're looking at that on VAR.
And the line that actually looks a lot closer than it actually is. And when you put the lines on, there's a huge gap between is it Romero's last left leg sticking back and Luis Diaz running through, and the fact that they then looked at it and gone, nope, but they've drawn the lines, they've done everything correctly in the background, and then they've just gone check complete. And that's the whole human error for this, is the fact that they've then gone, they've not realised that the goal was disallowed in the first place. So check complete is then, well, the free kick is Spurs, and then on it goes. But why is then? And I think Shearer touched on this. Why is it not then the system VAR gone, you fucked that up? Why have you're not shouting and going, no, this has to stop. So, but as soon as Spurs kick off, that's it done. There's no going back on it.
Well, my issue with this is actually something that Mike Dean almost inadvertently said, that he didn't want to put any more pressure on his mate. This is the issue that I think there's too much cronyism in between these officials, that the official who's sitting in Stockley Park watching the game versus the official that is on the pitch. These guys know each other professionally, maybe personally, and they don't want to give each other a hard time. So there's almost this kind of unwritten rule between them that if you make a massive fucking error like that, they're not going to pull it up. and they're not going to make your life more difficult. Like Dean said in his weird little Dean way, but he almost let the cat out of the bag a little bit, that there is too much of a fear that these guys are dropping their other mates in the shit, so they're not doing it. And I think you said just before we came on air, brilliant idea, that the Stocksley Park people need to be completely independent from the PGMOL and have no association with them whatsoever. So they've got no worry about saying to that referee, no, you fucked up. That's completely wrong. You've got that 100% wrong, and you need to go back and reverse that decision. That to me is the first thing that they need to do. And if they can't do that, scrap the whole fucking thing. That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, I think having them independent, having them as specialists, not as ex-referees or current referees. I get the understanding of having a referee in the room to give laws of the game guidance. That makes sense, but not involved in the drawing of the picture, not involved in the actual looking at what's gone on.
I'm sure it'd be really great. Really great would be fun if we did that.
Better odds than if you had Mike Dean anywhere near it.
Very true. Very true.
But yeah, I think they have to be specialists. They have to be independent. They can't be. I don't think you can carry on with having referees in there and having the one weekend their referee, one weekend their VAR, the next their assistant VAR. No, they're referees or VAR specialists. That's it. And utilize the technology properly. I think there's a comment in there about the automated is not quite right. It still has weaknesses. Fuck it, it's a damn sight better than the shite we've got at the moment.
It's better than what I've got now. I mean, there's loads of comments there from the guys, and they're rightly so saying. I mean, this goes back to Liverpool's arrogance of them being Liverpool, and because it's happened to them, that the whole world has to grind to a halt and fix this problem and undo this wrong. But you're right, James. They weren't whinging when Isak's second goal was miles onside, was disallowed against them. They weren't whinging when Isak Hayden got smashed in the head and they didn't stop the game and they played on, I think, and got a goal as well. Was it the season before that? So Liverpool have had the real rub of the green with VAR, in all fairness. I'm not saying the decision of the weekend was right because of that, but it is swings and roundabouts. And Liverpool are happy to be on the swing, but by God, they don't want to be on the fucking roundabout, do they? That is the obvious truth there between Clippity Klopp and the fan base, who in general are vile, really, to be honest with you. But if this was another team, like look at Wolves getting shafted with the Onana incident. They got absolutely done over by that. That point could mean them staying in this league. They had a great win at the weekend, but that point could be what keeps them in the Premier League or not. And they got screwed out of that. Again, what happened with us in terms of the Joe Willock incident, people have talked about Ellie Anderson's goal being disallowed, Longstaff getting kicked in the head, loads of we must have had about 8 or 9 in a row when VAR just didn't do anything for us whatsoever. And all the clubs underneath, West Ham, even Everton, all these teams, they've all been screwed over by VAR, but nobody comes out and demands the rules be rewritten like Liverpool are being. And the media are inflaming this. I've not watched Monday Night Football tonight. I imagine Carragher was on his fucking soapbox giving it big licks about how the whole thing should be ripped up again and started again or whatever or whatnot. But every team's getting screwed, Mark, on VAR, not just Liverpool. Every team's getting screwed. So they have to do something about the whole system. It shouldn't just be one team shouting louder than everybody else because they're a media darling getting all this coverage.
No, you're right. You are right. I think it's absolutely true. We've seen 2 this season so far that have been absolute shockers. There's the run of the mill normal ones we've seen again at the weekend when you go back and you look. Brentford got done a couple of times. I think that should easily have been a penalty for handball against Forest.
The other one, that one was horrendous. How
is that not a penalty? The goalkeeper
if anybody didn't see it, we said push down the goalkeeper, pressed him, got the ball, nicked it off him. The keeper scissored his legs, and it wasn't a pen. I don't get it. No. I really don't get it.
It was shocking, and these are the ones where there's no apology for. The referees will make no apology for that. They've made 2 this season. Where are they? I've got them. I think I've got them in the wrong order. But the 2 this season, the Tottenham one and the Man U one, both apologies that have been given to the clubs afterwards. There were 12 from last season, or from the previous ones that have been given. Some absolute horrendous
dreadful
ones that have been done. and it's just these are. I mean, the top one for Palace, Brighton there. John Brooks drew an offside in the offside line in the wrong place. I mean, you have literally one job at offside.
One job to do
is to draw the lines, and it's just utterly ridiculous. It's. I mean, it's just these are professional referees. These aren't the guys that. Yeah, and then the other argument or the other excuse that's kind of banded they were refereeing a game in the United Arab Emirates on Thursday.
I heard that.
So they were tired,
jet lagged.
What? Well, I'm sorry,
they shouldn't be on VAR then. They shouldn't be on.
No,
they shouldn't be.
They shouldn't be
the position.
But also, I'm really sorry. They were sat on their arse at Stockley Park looking at a TV screen. They can't do the job properly. They don't deserve to be doing the job.
Exactly.
I'm loath to call them for them to be sacked because I think that's probably a little bit heavy-handed. But if they are incapable of doing their job properly, then they don't deserve to be doing the job at all.
No, I totally agree. So I was saying there, the point is to make the officials terrified to rule against Liverpool. And stranger things have happened. And Keith is saying perhaps as it is a media darling in Liverpool, they might just do something. But if they do it for Liverpool, they've got to do it for everybody else. They can't just have it for one particular club. But I did see an article when they were saying the Saudi Arabian League were trying to poach the best referees in the Premier League. Is just drive them to the airport because I don't think there is fucking good Premier League referees. One, isn't there? There's Michael Oliver, I think, and the rest of them are shit, really. So I don't think they take any of them really. But it is embarrassing. As Ardez is saying there, these apology things just fucking wind me up. What they're going to do? Swap them for points? They can't swap them for points. An apology means nothing. Nothing to these teams whatsoever. It doesn't have to be a team fighting relegation. It could be a team trying to win the league, a team trying to qualify for the Champions League. You're going to cost team valuable points, and those points cost money as well, Mark. Money for the club, prestige for the club, European football, all this kind of thing. These are major decisions, and these guys are getting them monumentally wrong. If you did this in any normal walk of life, you'd lose your job. You wouldn't be back the next week doing the same job. Could you imagine like the crossing guard in the trains? Oh shit, my bad. Sorry, I didn't put the crossing up, and the train hit somebody, but he's back next week, fucking manning the crossing. You know what I mean? It just wouldn't happen, would it?
No, it's an extreme example, but yeah, I get your point. You wouldn't if you make a mistake like that, and it's such a fundamentally easy thing to have got right. To know they've given a free kick, they've given offside. No, that's not right. You draw the lines. You make sure you've done that. Yeah, it's not offside. It's not check complete. There is an error there. You need to award the goal. It's not difficult. It's really not difficult at all.
No, they're making it more difficult than it needs to be. They're overcomplicated a simple procedure.
They absolutely are.
Good comment by Jules. Sorry, Mark. Just watching the Rugby World Cup, a player was sent to the sin bin for England on a yellow, so the incident was acknowledged. Play continued whilst the VAR investigated it in a controlled time frame. Rugby have got this way better than football. Always have, Mark, haven't they? Making the refs up, more respect. Rugby are light years ahead of football in terms of using this technology.
But I also feel that was if that's the Tom Curry incident, he then got a 2-game ban, and a South African who did something almost identical didn't. And there are still issues.
But not as many as there is in football.
Yeah. It's not. It doesn't seem as prevalent as the Premier League. And there was another part to this where I'd seen obviously the calls for the game to perhaps be replayed.
Well, that was Liverpool, wasn't it? Fuck off! Nonsense.
I don't think there's a call for that.
The
game that it was likened to. And it's a completely different situation, was the FA Cup game between Sheffield United and Arsenal back in 1999, where so I think the player was injured, ball had been kicked out of play. One of the Sheffield United players had thrown the ball back, and then Carnu, for some inexplicable reason, chased after it, crossed the ball for Mark Overmars to score. And after the game, they went nuts, understandably. And after the game, I think Wenger had decided already to say, look, we'll replay the game because this is not right. We don't want to cheat, I think was the way that he put it. And that's a completely different situation. They talked about the lack of sporting integrity. That was I think, a genuine mistake from Kanu. Didn't understand the
misread it. I think he didn't quite get it. Yeah. He wasn't briefed about that kind of experience, was he? He just saw a ball and he went for it. Yeah.
I think it was his debut as well, and you can kind of understand that exuberance of somebody playing for their new club in a cup tie in the new country, not quite getting the etiquette of it at that time, and just got carried away. There's a difference between that and the officials doing it.
Yeah.
And the officials really, really screwing up. So I can't see any reason to replay. Yes, it's shit. Yes, something has to happen with the PGM and with VAR. Something has to change. But they're not going to replay the game.
But do you know what they should have done for me? I remember seeing this in the Championship with Leeds and Aston Villa, where the Bielsa told his team to stand away and let Villa go and score a goal. And I remember actually one of the Leeds defenders was just about to try and put a tackle out as well towards the end because they couldn't bear it. But Bielsa said, no, leave it be. And then the goal went in. Now, with the decision in the Liverpool game, that was in the first half. The referee could have spoke to both managers, spoke to both captains and said, look, we'll fuck this up. This is the situation. And then could have spoke to Postecoglou and Jurgen Klopp, and everything I've seen about Ange would tell me would make the same decision that Bielsa did, because he looks like he's cut from a very similar cloth. And I honestly think he would have told his team, no, let them put the ball in the back in there. This game should be 1-1. Let's start again. And I honestly do think he would do that because he seems like that. He's a bit of a unique breed in this modern day world of shithouse management. He seems to be just a really genuine guy, like Eddie Howe as well, very similar, and Pep as well, a proper football guy. And I think he would let that happen. And I just think that the referee really dropped the bollock by not even thinking about doing that, to be honest with you.
I don't think the referees can do it. That has to come if it was going to happen. And the example of the Bielsa thing against Villa, that was never an official instigated thing. It was purely
that was Bielsa.
The kickoff. Yeah. And I don't think at that point the referees can't then approach once it's happened, once it's gone, and Spurs have kicked off. That to all intents and purposes, that's done. I don't think they can ever then go, look, Ange, we've really screwed up. Help us out. It's just not going to happen. And I get your point. I think had Postecoglou seen it and gone, we'll put this right. We'll make sure that even level playing field. Stick the ball in the back of the net. We'll start again, and we'll forget this ever happened. But once it's gone, it's not going to happen like
once
that.
Once it's gone too long,
just can't. They're not going to be able to then approach the management and go, look, can we do something? And to be fair, I wouldn't expect the clubs to do it, because the clubs can turn around and say, no, we haven't fucked up.
No, you fucked up.
The argument in the Leeds Villa game was that Leeds had kind of done that in the wrong way. Leeds then put it right. The referees have made the mistake in this way. It's not up to Spurs to put it right.
Yeah, true. But I just think that could have been an easy fix. I'm laughing at this comment from Social Johns. He heard the new one. They want the VAR voice recordings. But I don't know if anybody heard the voice recordings of the Manchester United Wolves incident. And if that's anything to go by, you really don't, because it'll wind you up even more. Because what was the one that said? Was it the Wolves player? He's not got the header on target. Yeah, no decision there. The other player's not interfering in play. And you go, yeah, that's because the Manchester United goalkeeper's just clotheslined him onto the deck. That's why he's not interfering with play, because he's unconscious.
He didn't get a touch on the ball. He didn't get the ball. The guy behind him and headed the ball clear, so there's no decision. But the fact that the Wolves play was absolutely cleaned out by the goalkeeper was completely irrelevant. Yeah.
Yeah, absolute bollocks. But this argument will rage on, mate. I think we'll have another horrendous VAR decision. Hopefully Newcastle aren't on the receiving end of one, but some club is going to have another horrendous VAR decision in the matter of weeks, and then they'll be back again saying the same crap. Nothing will happen. Nothing will change. To me, it feels like it's getting to a breaking point where something is going to have to give on this situation, because you can't just take any more of Howard Webb's empty promises and bullshit. Something has to happen, mate.
He's got his platform now, hasn't he? He gets wheeled out and he's on Sky and he loves it. He loves to be sent.
Oh, he loves the limelight.
he's very much in that same category as Mike Dean, where they love the fact that the camera's on them. They love to be, the shining light of everything. But it's the same thing. Oh yes, they said after the Man U one, yes, there are lessons to be learned. Yes, we're going to go ahead and learn. You're not learning though. You're not, because every week we're getting these problems, and there's at least 4 incidents this weekend that we can count and say, look, there are other mistakes. What was the other one? The other clear one, I think, one of the Villa goals at the weekend, that Ollie Watkins scored. Zaniolo stood 2 yards offside right in front of the goalkeeper. Now, we've seen those given as offside 99 times out of 100. For some reason, they've decided that he wasn't interfering with the goalkeeper.
Dreadful.
There's another one for VAR to take on the chin and go, no, that was a mistake. So there's 4. If you take in, you could argue that the sending off wasn't the sending off. I'd lean on that. I can kind of see why they give it. It's that one's a little bit more subjective. But I mean, the whole referee team in the Liverpool game had a mare. Jota getting sent off was a
that
joke.
Was stupid. You don't put a tackle in the gap for a second yellow.
You don't. No, I get that, and he deserves it for that. He
was getting frustrated. I think was the thing.
The first one wasn't a yellow card. It wasn't even a foul.
No,
it wasn't even a foul.
They should have went back and scrapped that yellow, and then he maybe, he gets away with it. The second one, Would-Be Farmers drop a couple of comments in there that Howard Webb is failing. Really, he was brought in to eliminate all this stuff, and it's not happening. Really, we had Keith Hackett on the show, and he was brilliant, Keith, and he pulled no punches, and he said that the standard Premier League referees just isn't good enough, and he's right. And you're right, Win. The Gordon penalty at Sheffield was horrendous, and the media's reaction to that. Fucking Carragher was a disgrace. Oh, well, they're 3-0 up. They don't need a penalty. Fuck you, Carragher. If that was Liverpool, you'd be screaming from the rooftops, man. So again, it's that bias in the media as well. That just the whole thing at the minute is just getting a little bit out of control. And I think we need a strong PGM well to sort it out. And if they can't sort it out, let's get an independent body mark, as you say, to get into Stockley Park and sort it out. And then that way, we don't have any more of this shit going on. Kev saying still none of this was more comical than Graham Paul's 3 yellow cards. God, that was horrendous, wasn't it? That was horrendous, mate. That's one of the worst things I've ever seen. Well, listen, let's finish on Out of Toon, because we're an hour and 50 minutes, so a little bit over than we normally do. I knew we would be with the VAR topic. I mean, the only big story we've got really in Out of Toon, Mark, is this story of the Nice player, this fella here. That you remember his name, Mark? Sorry, you got his name down there.
It's Alexis Baker. Apologies, the pronunciation in my head is not there.
I think it's Baker. I think so. So I mean, if anyone hadn't seen this, obviously he's a young lad that plays for Nice, and there was some really worrying stories that he was really suffering from depression quite badly, and that he was witnessed standing on a bridge, threatening to obviously end his life. And thankfully, people got to him in time and managed to get him away from the bridge. And I think he's getting the support that he needs right now, Mark. But I think it's just a reminder, isn't it? Certainly after like Dele Alli's story as well, it's just a reminder that as much as we see these players and we lambast them and we scream at them from the terraces and everything, that they are human beings and they can really struggle with things and everyday things that a lot of people struggle with these days. And I'm just really glad that the lads got support and somebody was able to get them in time, mate, because that could have been tragic. That.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the ones that the on the back of that, the absolute vile scumbags that were posting pictures of and video of on the bridge. There was another one actually. Somebody posted a video of somebody down south in this country as well who had taken that decision. I think unfortunately went the other way, and it's those kind of things where it's another level of the fans being some fans being absolute scumbags. Brilliant that he's getting the help, but it's an awful thing. So glad that he was able to be helped, and it's one of those where I think there was a report yesterday, the day before maybe, that I'd seen the number of players that actually suffer with depression problems is ridiculously high, and I think we do forget these lads are, they haven't, a lot of them haven't had a normal upbringing. They've been pretty much, this is their focus from them. There's not a lot outside of football that they get to grips with, and yeah, we're quick to have a go at players, we're quick to slag them off, but there just has to be that reminder to go, look, just temper some of the stuff that goes on. And we have to be careful. And the biggest thing from this is for everybody, and it breaks into everyday life with us, is a reminder just for people to talk. If you are struggling, just there are places out there to get support, and reach out to your friends. Don't try not to be embarrassed by it all. It does affect, as James says there, most people are touched by it in one way or another.
And James is also saying he suffered from anxiety and depression his whole life as well. He's just saying that there's more awareness out there now, and it's not so looked upon as a weakness. And that is great, James. And listen, mate, I hope you're doing better now, mate. And as Mark says, just talk, mate. If you are feeling those feelings again, and you need to speak to people, mate, reach out and do that. And I think there is more people to talk to now than ever before, Mark, isn't there, as well. There is another bit of news there as well. Kev's just banged in there. I did see that Francis Lee, or Franny Lee, had died at the age of 79. Real sad that, massive Manchester City legend, 27 caps for England as well, and a real icon, at City. So, yeah, that's really sad to hear that he passed away. Speaking of fans as well, Kev's also put another one in there as well about
deplorable.
Yeah, just disgusting. I mean, there's been two really bad examples of fans. We did one rant about one. We didn't name the channel it was on. Everybody knows the channel it was on, and it was somebody saying something really, really, off tone and really out of order. See you later, Ian. Thanks for watching, bud.
Thanks.
Really out of order, and it should never have been said. And he's now been charged with a criminal record as well, so that's deplorable. But this one, allegedly, that the Sheffield Wednesday fans, and I say allegedly because we don't know if it is true or not. People talk about photoshopping and all sorts of stuff, but from the pictures that were shown, if it is true, that's just, there's no need for that, and it's awful. It's absolutely horrendous.
I think he's been charged. I think also the lad that has been charged, he's also been named, and also been made to take a drug course or something as well, because he was found with cocaine in his system. Now, that's not an excuse for it. It's an utterly deplorable act. He deserves banned from every form of football for something like that. It's an utter scumbag. We remove your club biases or anything like that. Something like that.
Yeah. Okay, that's just dreadful.
No, you call it out. I don't care who your club is. I don't care what it is. That's the scum of the earth to do something like that. And quite rightly to have the book thrown at him, because it's just fucking deplorable.
Yeah, and Jules is saying they've been in court today as well. And you know what? Massive shout out as well to the Sheffield Wednesday supporters who raised money for Bradley Lowry's foundation. That is a brilliant action to show you how good those fans really are, and that those two don't represent that fan base. So massive respect to the Wednesday fans for that. James is just saying, cheers, lads. That mocking was poor and made me sick. I've got family and friends who are Sunderland fans. I know it was Wednesday's fans, but what's wrong with people, man? Now you're right, mate. There is a real problem with people these days, and I just think that human respect for one another just seems to be getting eroded away, especially when it comes to football terraces, and it's not acceptable, man. You cannot hide behind banter for things like that. It's vile and it has no place in society or football grounds either, Mark, does it?
That's not banter, and the stuff the other day is not banter. It's not funny. It's absolutely just, and it deserves to be met with criminal action. It really does. There's absolutely no need for that.
Be the only way you stop it, mate. If you go for the extreme measure, might be the only way to stop it, as you rightly say, mate. But yeah, I mean that's us wrapped up for this week then, guys. We just wanted to finish up on a couple of those points there on Out of Toon. Thank you so much to everybody who's watched, and apologies for my grumpiness at the start of the episode. I promise I won't be as grumpy in the post-match review. Hopefully Newcastle will get a great result, and I will be back on Wednesday night with a post-match with a big smile on my face, hopefully, because Newcastle have done the business business at St. James's Park. But if you are new to the channel, you just checked us out for the first time, please subscribe. We'd love you to come and join us. I'm normally happier than I was tonight. We're over 5,300 subs, so loads of room for you. Click the button, subscribe, like the video. If you want to become a member, there's an option down there for you too. We're going to be back with that post-match review. Make sure you check us out, guys. Jump in the comments live. Yeah, thanks, Mad. Good to see you, mate. Jump in the comments live, guys. We always appreciate it. It always helps the episode flow. Have a cracking evening. Get yourselves to bed, and we'll see you later. Cheers.
Okay, guys.